Hello there. Welcome back to Dis-Cember. I'm Scotty. You're not. Scotty is eggnog. I was going to wait to bring this out until I did my Christmas reviews, but you know what? I couldn't wait any longer. No, it's not in my Christmas mug. One, because it's not Christmas yet. It's still November. I'm sitting here. But also, I have to clean that thing. I lost track of it, and I hadn't cleaned it in a year. There's all dust and stuff all over it. Fell back behind somewhere. So, actually, it was just on my sink, but it was back behind some stuff that I didn't realize it was there. And it's a big thing, too, but you know. So here we are. Cinderella 3, Twist in Time. Now, you are all probably asking, Scotty, you haven't reviewed the first two. Why are you doing this one? It's very simple. It's my channel. Now shut up. I joke. But really, though, yeah, it is. No, so, yeah, because I don't think you really need... Everyone knows the story of Cinderella, right? Everybody used to say Cinderella, oh yeah, it's the girl. She went to the ball with the glass slipper. She left it behind. The prince found it, put it on her foot. I love you, baby. Gone. They won't say it like that, but yeah, live happily ever after, Prince Charming, all that stuff. Baby Bowdy Boo. They know Cinderella. And then the sequel sucks. I said I would touch on it. The original film is a Disney classic, but it's your typical, so everyone knows the Cinderella story, like I said. And then the sequel was 3 episodes of an unproduced TV show. Basically. That's what it feels like. Some of those ones like Atlantis, The Last Empire, or Belle's Magical World, or even Tarzan and Jane, which actually were produced in the TV episodes. So, yeah. And pretty much they ignore that with this. The story of this is that Anastasia, that's the one in the pink dress, by the way, in case you don't know, comes across the fairy godmother's wand and realizes that's how Cinderella got to be married to the prince, which this takes place 1 year later. And the fairy godmother is just a bibbidi-bobbidi booing around in the backyard somewhere when Anastasia sees this. She steals the wand and brings it back to her mother, who uses the magic to turn back time. If I could turn back time. Deadpool's gonna pop up at some point. You bet I am. No, and make it so that Anastasia's foot fit the glass slipper, and she's gonna marry the prince. Now, a lot of people will say, "Oh, that's stupid. The prince is gonna know who it is. It's not just gonna be, oh, whoever." That's what they dictated in the original was whoever shoe fit. And they could have had the king be a stick type that had, oh, you said whoever the shoe fit, that's who you're gonna marry, so that's what you're gonna do. But and they go an extra mile with this. This thing is, what is it, 75 minutes? I think it said. 77 minutes. And it fills out the runtime pretty well. There's a lot of common sense in this where you think. There's one little nitpick I have an issue with that kind of fixes itself at the end. We'll get to it. But, so the movie starts. It's 1 year after the events of the first film. Again, I don't know if the second one is canon. I don't really care. So Anastasia, she sees the fairy godmother bibbidi-bobbidi booping around in the backyard. I don't know where she is, what she's doing. And she steals the wand and brings it back to her mother, who realizes it. During a little battle of the wand, she turns Lucifer into a goose with a cat head still, and then end up freezing the fairy godmother in stone. And then she turns back time. And when the Grand Duke, voiced by Rob Paulsen here, showed up with the slipper, and then she boops the slipper so it fits Anastasia. And they just go with that. And you're sitting there thinking, really? And then the mice, of all people, go, wait a minute. The prince knows he danced with Cinderella. And Cinderella goes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, they're right. He knows who he danced with. He knows it's not going to be Drusilla or Anastasia because she wasn't a redhead. She had a blonde. I do want to point out that the prince is voiced by Christopher Daniel Barnes, who was the voice of Prince Eric in Little Mermaid, and it's a little bit jarring to hear his voice come out of a different prince, Prince Charming. Although, in the credits, he's just Prince. Ooh, not that Prince. Keys. That would be a totally different movie. I introduce Prince. I don't want to be the princess. Nope, I'm gone. Bye. Just saying. Yeah, more staying the time up there in the balcony. My jungle loved. Oh, oh. I think I wanna know ya. Yeah. Come on. Anyway. So. They end up taking Anastasia, or Lady Tremaine, and both of the daughters to the castle. But then Cinderella has the idea to go there. She can't get into the castle because they don't know who she is. So she sneaks in through the servant entrance and tells the mean old lady, who's the only carryover from the second one, that she's the royal mouse killer. And that's when Gus and Jacques start causing problems. I like Gus and Jacques. Corey Burton is Gus, and I remember who is Jacques, but also Jennifer Hale, who I know as Felicia Hardy from the '94 Spider-Man cartoon. Coincidentally, who also voiced alongside Christopher Daniel Barnes as Spider-Man is Cinderella. Mm-hmm. So when the prince sees Anastasia, he knows that's not. No. Like the king is more than one note character in this, where in the original he's just like, oh, you gotta get married. We gotta have a ball. Running around and jumping on the bed and all that stuff. And yeah. Here he's more played out, and he's like, you are basing all of this on a shoe fitting? What if there was one person with a size 8.5 or 4.5 in the entire kingdom? And when he sees Anastasia, the prince is like, oh, it must have fit more than one woman. I'm sorry. And then this is where common sense comes in. And you think, yes, there is common sense. So how are they going to get around this? Well, Lady Tremaine uses the wand to hypnotize him into thinking it was Anastasia. But love is a many splendored thing. Because almost immediately as he sees Cinderella later, she tries to convince him, and he's kind of sees it, but the spell is messing with him. Eventually, though, the spell is broken, because the king has a speech about how you touch someone's hand and you know. And he touches her hand and he knows. And oh, there it is. And yeah. And he turns to the guards on Lady Tremaine and the girls, and they run off. They disappear. I don't know. They seem to disappear from the castle. I don't know if she uses the wand to make them invisible, if that what it was supposed to be, but I don't know. But that's what happens. So they're gone, and they're going to proceed with the wedding, because the prince now knows that it's Cinderella, or Cinderella, as he says. Because at one point, they have her taken away, and he has to race out there on the ship, and even the king is like, no, put down the guard thingy, and he's like, no, let him go. because true love. It's true love. And he finds her, and that's when they're like, oh, Lady Tremaine and them, they're evil. And then she shows up, and she's like, if the prince wants to marry Cinderella, then the prince will marry Cinderella. Anastasia, she had turned Anastasia into Cinderella. This is where the common sense goes away. Because if you turn Anastasia into Cinderella, why not turn Cinderella into something else? Or an Anastasia or something, right? To get rid of her? No. Her common sense is to turn Lucifer into a human, put him on a stagecoach, and have him drive her off a cliff. This is where the Disney part comes in. All the other common sense stuff has been happening in this movie. Now we gotta go goofy. Oh, speaking of goofy, when the prince escapes, the king goes, "You will not take one more step down these stairs." And he just looks at him and goes, "Okay." Jumps out the fucking window. I'm not kidding you. Jumps out the window like 3 stories high. He's gone. And he's just fine chasing after Cinderella. Yeah, maybe that's not common sense. He'd have broken his leg in real life. Pardon me. But, yeah. So now we're going to have a wedding with not Cinderella marrying the prince. It's Anastasia. It looks like Cinderella and Lady Tremaine and Drusilla hiding in the darkness. But the real Cinderella shows up, having survived. But oh no, there are guards stopping her from getting in. But the guards don't question why she looks just like Cinderella, and Cinderella is in there. They're just like, no, you can't go in. So Jacques and Gus climb up their legs and go, and she runs in. And I have to explain, but by this point, Anastasia proves she has a heart in there. And she says, "No, I cannot marry you. I am Anastasia." And Lady Tremaine's like, "What are you doing?" And immediately as soon as she walks out, I did the king's voice, didn't I? "What are you doing?" And the king's like, "No, I arrest them." Okay, duh. So she starts turning all the guards into animals. And then Drusilla goes, "Turn them into toads." When she does that, the prince comes out with his sword, because we see that it can bank off stuff that's metal. So he puts the sword out and banks off of it and hits them back, turns them into toads. Right? So Anastasia turns herself back, and then they bring back the fairy godmother. Okay. Here's my big problem. So, when Lady Tremaine uses the magic wand at the beginning of the movie, she turns back time, which means they've gone back in time to 1 year earlier. In the present, the fairy godmother is frozen in stone. But there should be a fairy godmother in the past, still existing, with her own magic wand. Because that's how time travel works. They traveled back in time, which means, yes, there's a fairy godmother frozen 1 year from then. I don't know the date. But back then, there should be a fairy godmother around. I know that she kind of went poof in that part of the movie and comes back later, but she should still be around. But because that would be too easy to write off and the movie would be over pretty quick, she's just frozen and there's no fairy godmother. That's a bit of that's a nitpick, an issue for me. As you think there should be a fairy godmother in the past. If the one in the future is frozen, there should still be one in the past with still a magic wand. Because that happened in the future. And unless you did it where they got there and then they did it to the other fairy godmother. But no, they just use a spell and bring the fairy godmother back, and the fairy godmother's like, "Do you want to go back to your regular life?" And they're like, "Oh, what?" She's like, "Well, actually," and they go to kiss, and she's like, "Never mind." So time was never reversed. Nothing was reversed. Everything is going to go from this point now. So the timeline has changed then. Because now the first film no longer matters. It's like Terminator Genesis. You know, everything that happens now has changed. It's a new timeline. Things are different. Now she's got magic, so it doesn't matter if she turned back time or turned forward time, whatever. It would just go back to the way it was. But this was good. I would even try to say that it might be better than the first one. It's definitely better than the second one. But if I was given a choice between the original and this, I think I would put this one on over the original. Don't shoot me. I'm just saying. Yeah. And I would say it's pretty good. A very high one as well. Not quite to the moon, but pretty good. Very high, pretty good. So yes, let me cross that off on the board. So, what are your thoughts on Cinderella 3? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Yes, I realize I said Cinderella. I didn't mean to. It just came out. Tomorrow. Today for me. I'll brush it a little bit later. But tomorrow, we'll be talking about another sequel, because it's Sunday. And I'll be starring Nicolas Cage. That's right. It's National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets, which is a little bit shorter than the first one. Just a little bit. So, thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.